The 15-member task force assembling this morning at police headquarters brings together gang and intelligence experts, narcotics officers, homicide detectives, and district attorney prosecutors. Another 30 to 40 police officers standing ready to assist the task force. Its mission to solve last weekend's 2 gang-related retaliatory murders and the wounding of 9 in the Hunters Point Bayview area. Lieutenant Gerald McCarthy saying there are leads but no firm suspects.
Do you know the individuals involved?
We're not positive on the identifications of the individuals.
You know the gang, though, don't you?
Yes, we do. We believe the members, people from Sunnydale and possibly the Western Addition, are responsible for it.
Narcotics.
The task force says it's depending more than ever on this hotline phone to deliver public tips from witnesses to the murders. One of only 7 such calls coming this afternoon.
This particular person was unwilling to answer any of my questions, but just gave some sketchy information.
We urge anyone that knows anything about this crime to contact us at 553-1600. We can protect them. If necessary, we can get them involved in the witness protection program.
But in the Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood and all housing projects traumatized by gang violence, there is reluctance to speak out of fear. Community leader Shirley Gross says she's urging people to remain silent.
I don't think that people in this community are going to tell on their brothers and sisters and sons and daughters and buddies. No, I don't support that. If you arrest them, that does not mean that it's going to stop.
Mrs. Gross says she's working quietly behind the scenes to promote peace among warring gangs. As anxious as police are to solve the gang-related shootings and break the string of retaliation, they have not yet offered any rewards for public information. But that is a trump card which sources here say may be played very soon. Bob Serkin, News Center 4, San Francisco Police Headquarters.
As Bob's report mentioned, one of the most dangerous gangs in San Francisco is the Sunnydales, but it's not the only one. There are dozens of known gangs operating inside the city, and they are said to defend their territories fiercely, even if it means death. There are about 30 active street gangs in San Francisco, but 4 of them are dominant, police sources say. They run huge business operations dealing in crack cocaine. 2 of the most dangerous are based on the city's southeast side, the Sunnydale and Hunters Point gangs. Sunnydale, also known as Swampy Desert, controls Sunnydale Avenue to Schwerin Street. It has 110 members, and police say it's one of the most aggressive and well-armed gangs. The Hunters Point, or HP gang, borders Oakdale Avenue. With 150 members, they are locked in a shooting war with the Sunnydales. Potrero Hill, also known as the West Side Crips, took over Connecticut and Missouri streets on the southern side of Potrero Hill. They're a small group, notorious for assaults on police officers. A group that calls itself the Out of Control Gang is based in the Western Addition, in the 1,200 blocks of Turk and Eddy streets. This gang has more than 100 members. Last year, members were accused of bullying public housing tenants into selling crack cocaine. Police say many of the small gangs are forming new alliances, and the battle for turf is likely to get worse as the drug profits increase.
Community people, as we have indicated, have been quietly trying to talk to some young people in the hotspot neighborhoods. Mayor Art Agnos has appealed to parents to do their part, and even grandparents have accepted this challenge. Today, News Center 4's Lynn Joyner talked to one grandmother, a special one, part of a special group of seniors trying to make a difference. Lynn?
Well, Bob, Louise Vaughn is trying to help her 2 grandchildren grow up. Her son is in prison, his common-law wife an alcoholic who uses cocaine. She says it will be hard to stop the violence on the streets unless families start caring, not neglecting each other.
This is my 2 grandchildren, Stacy and Sherry.
Louise Vaughn is trying to give her grandchildren the same set of values she instilled in 3 daughters but couldn't teach her son.
And this is my son. That's him.
Her son, Willie, has been in and out of jail for the past 8 years. She has seen the violence and destruction street life can cause.
I never thought I would see a time that I would be afraid of my own kids, my young men. I'm really afraid. But it doesn't stop me from taking care of what I have to do. I just don't understand why all these kids have all these guns, all these drugs, and no parents know about it or are doing anything about it. Sure, the police have to do their part. The mayor have to do his part. There have to be programs for jobs and help for the kids and to get them some positive reinforcement to know that they can do other things. But it starts with the parents. You've got to set value systems for your children, and being poor is no excuse. What I want to see the parents get involved, all these kids that's retaliating against the other young man that got killed. Where are these parents saying to the mother, even the mother that lost a son? Well, I feel very sorry for her, but can she go to their friend and say, this is not the way, this is not going to help the situation, it's just going to make it worse, we've got to stop this.
Louise Vaughn's son gets out of prison in May. He says he wants to change. She says it will be hard for him and for all those tempted by fast money, fast cars, and fancy clothes.
Even if he wants to, he's going to have a very, very difficult time putting his life back together. And I'm not sure he's strong enough. Maybe it takes something like that happened over the weekend to make people really aware of how serious this is, because it happened on 3rd Street, but it could have easily happened downtown.
Tonight at 7 p.m., Mayor Agnos will attend a Bayview Hunters Point community meeting to urge the kind of involvement Louise Vaughn says is absolutely necessary. Bob, the pressure on the police is building, and the tension in the community is building every day that those murderers remain free.
All right, Lynn, thanks.
Thank you. Well, citizens of all ages in East Palo Alto appear to have lost confidence in their government's ability to eradicate drugs and gangs. The city and its police force were only created in 1984, but already its people are asking the county for help with law enforcement. Carl Sonkin reports from the South Bay Bureau.
This was the scene on Westminster Street this afternoon, where East Palo Alto police admit drug dealing is rampant. Cars stop, youngsters walk up, and exchange takes place. While preschoolers watch the action, fear often keeps ordinary people from stopping here. And neighbors say there is violence day and night.
Last night I had another sleepless night due to the facts of the drugs in East Palo Alto.
Neighbor C. Roddy brought her concern to San Mateo's Board of Supervisors today, saying the city isn't doing enough. Supervisor Tom Nolan checked it out for himself.
I sat in her living room and in this 45-minute period watched the sale of drugs, 10 separate sales during that 45-minute period.
Nolan wants to know what East Palo Alto's doing to fight drugs and dealers, and one city official admitted the city may need help.
Personally, my feeling, and I'm not speaking for the full community, is to bring the Sheriff's Department back.
It's been 3 years since the sheriff patrolled San Mateo County's newest city. Police say they had 47,000 calls for service in East Palo Alto last year, and there are only 27 officers. Police Chief Dan Nelson said the problem is crack cocaine.
We've got kids in this community that run around with $10,000, $15,000 in their pockets. Okay? You're talking about a kid who is undereducated for whatever the reason, because the system is not producing for him. But the crack cocaine market is. And then you ask a small police department to control that problem, then you got to look someplace else. You know, it's a total system thing. It's not just policing. It has to do with the schools, it has to do with unemployment, it has to do with family attitudes, it has to do with the whole system that's breaking down in this country, including our churches.
Chief Nelson says the crack cocaine problem is regional, and in a week he's going to announce a cleanup program. In 2 weeks, the county supervisors want to hear that plan, and it couldn't come soon enough for the residents of Westminster Street. In East Palo Alto, I'm Carl Sonkin, News Center 4.
We've just learned that an all-out search in Richmond has just ended. Police say that they've picked up an armed teenager apparently involved in a shooting late today. It started at the county courthouse in Richmond. The teenager...
by leaders who feel that a whole generation has been condemned to death. With News Center 4's continuing coverage of this issue, here's Austin Longscott.
Even if they never use drugs themselves, crack cocaine may deny these black children a decent future. Because of the violence that surrounds crack, a large proportion of black families live as virtual hostages in volatile and unsafe neighborhoods. They fear for their children, and so far, there are no solutions. The concern is so great that 800 people have signed up to attend a conference at San Francisco's Glide Memorial Church. The 3-day conference, which starts tomorrow, is a collective search for answers. Organizers thought the problem serious enough to call the conference the death of a race. Glide's pastor, the Reverend Cecil Williams, thinks law enforcement crackdowns like the one just announced for Washington, D.C., sweep up the victims as well as the dealers.
There'll be warfare. We will see large numbers of poor people, and specifically blacks, going to jail and to prison, and they will not have a chance to live, to have a productive life. By 1995, more blacks would have gone through the criminal justice system. We're predicting 70% at this time, going through the criminal justice system. Now, I ask you, isn't that the way to completely eradicate a race of people?
With crack causing so many family tragedies and draining so much money from city and county budgets, the question is, can this conference come up with some better ideas? Austin Longscott, News Center 4.